Marian, you have been to Germany last year in October, and you have been in January in Germany. So to start off, we're not talking about the festival. First, we talk about Germany.
Of course.
What's your opinion on Germany at the moment? Where are we staying? What's the vibe? What did you get when you came to Germany?
I think the thing German creativity is consistently great, right? And over the years, you've won, I think last year you won 30 awards at the festival. And whilst the shift in kind of the work that's being submitted is changing over the time, that there's some brilliant businesses, some brilliant brands that are based in Germany, built from Germany, but actually bring that sensibility across the world. So I think the creativity in Germany is going to continue to be as, profound as it has been at the festival over the last number of years.
You know what? The Germans will love to hear that. We're always too over-engineered, I think, because at the moment the vibe is a little bit like, are we good enough to survive here in Cannes? Yeah, it's not that the vibe is like, oh yeah, amazing, we're really, really good. So I guess they love to hear from you that your vibe in Germany was, yeah, all good.
I think it's been, some brilliant success. We had Service Plan winning in the networks, last year. There's JVM as well. Like there's some brilliant businesses, but obviously the established agency world as well, and lots of smaller agencies coming through. I think there's exciting stuff. I'm excited to see what comes through this year.
Exciting stuff is a good word. So let's look onto the journey of Lions, the last 12 months. What do you think, what are the most significant changes you have seen over the last 12 months?
Yeah, well, since we had this conversation this time last year, a lot has changed. After the festival last year, we introduced new measures for integrity, following the fallout. And they were really built on three principles. So the integrity standards are built on legitimacy. Was it real work for real clients with real results? And the idea there is, really to remove ambiguity or inflation of results or exaggeration or misrepresentation. Because what we want to do is recognize genuine work that's driving genuine impact. So that's what we want to be recognized for. The second kind of pillar of that was around credibility. And is the work authentic to the brand? Does it connect to the business objectives of the brand? Is it representing the brand effectively? And then the final one is around integrity. So that's personal integrity of jurors, of entrants, and really sticking to the rules, essentially, to ensure that, we don't bring the business to the any brands or the industry at large into disrepute, and that kind of manifests in a number of ways. So we've introduced authorization to submit, and what that means is you're getting the CEO of the commissioning brand, or the CEO of the entrant company, and the CMO of the commissioning brand approving every single entry that's been in. So they're seeing the entire entry and approving it.
What do you see there? So is there the process? How was it for the agencies and for the clients?
Yeah, listen, this was year one of this process, and I think a big part of it is this is a transformative process. We really believe that this is important, that the accountability sits there, and as with any process that you introduce, there will be a learning curve, and there will be a phase where we will refine and improve and streamline the process. And I think when I was over with you in October, I met some of the German community, creative excellence community, and we talked about some of the ideas, and we will definitely be continuing that sort of listening tour to see how do we refine this, because this has to work for everyone involved. But what we've seen, it's it's an experience, and it's a learning experience for everyone. I think every day is a learning, and every year we iterate and evolve. So this will be one of the things that we evolve next year as well.
Do you have the feeling that the clients are now more invested in how is it going? Will they win Lions or not?
Yeah, there's definitely, I think there's the participation in them. First of all, their name is essentially going to be on behind this work, and that's great when they win. But if they don't win, that is also important, because there's that investment of creativity. And I think the big part of this is, we exist because we believe that creativity drives business, and we want CMOs and business leaders to be able to bring this great piece of work from somewhere else in the world to say, this is my exact business challenge, and here's a really innovative solution to how they did that. And if they're able to get invested in kind of looking at how to tell the story, that's half the battle, right? And when you're in those board meetings, it's telling and selling the story, selling the idea. So we really want to get them on board and get them passionate and engaged with that process, because it is crafting the story is a really, really part of, with winning the awards. And that's a skill, right?
You know what's powerful here in Cannes as well are the juries. And you posted on LinkedIn that last year some of the jury members said that they were almost jealous about the ideas they have seen. So I looked onto some other awards we have out there, and I thought, do you sometimes have a feeling from the industry that they're jealous about the potential you have here in those jury rooms? Because the juries are so diverse, they're from brand sites, they're from all around the globe. What's your feeling there? What do others think? Or do they also see what hard work is behind bringing those people in those rooms together?
I think we're so privileged to have the jury that we do, and we have a team that work really hard to kind of look at that. But the awards sit at the heart of the festival, and they're the building blocks for everything you see kind of down the Cosette. And the fact that we bring in people from all over the world is kind of deliberate. We want to have those different perspectives in the jury rooms because that helps bring different voices, different ideas. You could be in an established market like Germany, or you could be in a smaller market in Latin America or in Asia or even in Europe. And the perspectives of those two markets, the same business challenge could be completely different approach. And I think that's the richness and that's the importance of having that breadth of diversity. And that is special, and it's also very powerful, not just when you see the winners, but it's also the conversations that they have. They build connections, they build communities, and that then builds that fervor for creativity and how they're passionate going back to their organizations to be advocates for this is what great creativity looks like, and this is how we champion it in our organizations and in our communities.
Yeah, we had the chance this morning to meet a jury president, and what you just said is that the energy they have, and you just see that they're full of new ideas. It's brilliant.
Yeah, when you see them leave the jury rooms in the evenings after finishing, they're like bouncing the ideas, and you can just see how, when they go back to their offices, this is how their brains work, this is how their minds, this is where they are, why they are where they are, because they're inspired by other ideas, and that's the power of it, right? And that's the power of, as Phil always says when we're in the briefings, we've seen agencies started as a result of people being on the juries together. We've seen businesses form. We've seen all of these ideas come, and it's bringing great minds together. It's what we do at the festival as well, right? That is the power. And if you're in a tiny little room, sometimes a windowless little room,
Really cold
rooms, that then becomes a catalyst for even great creativity, and they continuously push the boundaries of what great looks like.
What I also thought is, you also said, judging through a truly global and contemporary lens, that's what you want. And then I thought, well, the world is kind of a rough sea at the moment. So if you have that lens on, what kind of work can we expect to see this year? Can we see that the world is not that easy at the moment?
I think when you think about, times of adversity, often out of that comes great creativity. So whether that's writing, whether it's artistic, whether it's kind of building an idea, building a business, we often see that comes as a back of there's no other way to go, so I'm going to try this. And I think we're starting to see that people being inventive, doing more with less, but also craft. And when it comes back to craft, it's a theme that comes through every year. But one thing that seems to be really coming out from the conversations we're having is human-centric craft and human-led craft. So we'll be able to kind of delve into that a little bit later in the week, but really looking at, not necessarily as an antidote, but really looking at how is the idea in service of the person that's it's intended for, and really thinking about how does it tactile, how's the experience. So there's a lot of that kind of really thoughtful thinking about the person receiving the campaign, yeah.
Let's tackle that a little bit more. We have this retro trend. So we have craft, but we have also AI. So we have the whole world of technologies just right there. But we see last year you said that the most entries were in print and publishing. So why is that so? So why do we go back to craft? Are we going back to print and publishing again this year, maybe also?
I can't remember the numbers off the top of my head, but I think there's something, again, it's something with when there's so much technology everywhere, like being able to tangibly touch something. You're seeing it here at the festival, right? The experience across the festival. We've got the CEO forum, we've got the CMO forum, bringing people together to have this analog off-grid, have the conversation, human to human, learn from one another. And I think that's so important. And I think that piece of that experience, and the human piece is like really key. So like, yes, technology is an enabler. Yes, AI can actually help us do things quicker, faster, do more at scale. But ultimately it comes down to the person at the end of the day. And you're hearing more of that, the dumb phones and the things like turning off. Building in face-to-face time is something you can't do with technology right now. Yes, you never know.
Isn't that nice to see that people at the moment enjoy so much coming back together in groups here at the festival, share experiences together and not sitting at home? I mean, 3 years ago when we talked, it was a whole different situation.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And I think there's lots of communities coming together. We have the Era Pass. It brings lots of new organizations to the festival. We've introduced the Challenger Pass as well for independent brands and agencies to come together at a different price point. So they get to experience the festival and get to see and spend time in the work. And I think that's one of the things we often see, people, the businesses from all over the world are looking at the winners. So CMOs are going down to that exhibition in the morning, checking it out, looking at their sector, but also looking at, well, what's happening in health and wellness? Is there something that I can learn from there in a way that you're never normally going to do if you're looking through your trade publication or your Financial Times? You would never see these two things together because they're from different sectors, different parts of the world. But side by side in the exhibition, you might be inspired, right? So I think there's something really bringing people together in those serendipitous moments is, it's an exciting opportunity. And I think you see it throughout the festival, and there's a joie de vivre, I would say, people around, right? So it's the limit of my French, so,
Well, really nice. And you just mentioned the CMO. And there's no new lion this year, but we have refocused categories. So we have the creative data lions, and we also have AI craft subcategories. So what can we expect from those?
So the AI craft categories were introduced as, when we were having these conversations last year, one of the key things we heard was that AI is a tool. And actually how people are using our tool, they're able to do more different things that they might not have access to before. And it's providing more people with more access to things that they wouldn't have had access to. And we introduced the categories within these lions because it's all about the craft of how you tell that story. So whether it's digitally, whether it's on the print ad, whether it's a copy that you do in a font that would never have been possible before, it really is that combination of human ingenuity with tools that would help enable that further. So we're interested to see. I think it will, it'll be something that's going to expand and grow over the years, and it's definitely again something that we'll look at and build on. This space is moving so quickly, and how people are engaging with it and using it is moving so quickly. So we're really keen to see what work is coming into those categories, but also actually like how it needs to evolve and how we need to show up with, well, what does AI look like in creativity, and how does it present it? How is it showing us the best?
Ooh, that was loud.
Yeah. How is it showing us the best opportunity to build and push for that great creativity to be even further?
The last 2 years, we always had a number of how many entries we had with using AI. Are you still counting, or you now say this is a tool and we are not?
Yes, so we still count. So it's part of our new integrity measures. So we had that AI question has been in there, I think, since 2023 now. So it's doubled again year on year. So it's part of that process of, was AI used in the work or was it used in the entry? And that then is looking at, as part of our integrity measures checks, we will look at that and see if it's listed anywhere else. And that's also coupled with our proof of impact. So any stat, any result, any claim in an entry, we have asked for an evidence of that. So proving that as well. So really looking at, going back to that misrepresentation piece, or the piece around, fabricating or inflating results. Really what we want to do is when the jury are in that jury room, that they're able to judge and look at the creative idea. When you see a result, this is a result that you can stand behind, because you're going to be up on stage saying this is what great creativity looks like. So that's really, really important. And the AI piece is part of that.
Is there at the moment, and you are always the expert, a category or a lion we should really have an eye on?
One that I'm looking at is, our new creative brand lion, so it's a brand new one, and it's looking very, very different. So it's not looking at the creative outputs as the lions have done for 70 odd years. This is really looking at the inputs, and it's looking at what has happened within this organization that has facilitated this brilliant creativity that has been sustained over time to be shown to the world. And that is looking at the cultures behind established within the business. It could be the infrastructure, it could be the systems that they've built. And that comes with longevity, it comes with sustainability, like sustaining on an idea. It comes a bit from the top to up. The top up, the top down, the bottom up and the top
Bottom
down.
up.
A bit of both, right? You need the people at the top to kind of be behind it, but you also need the people delivering it to really see the vision and see the mission and have that single goal. And the work that's been entered, and I can't reveal just yet, but I think with the work that's on the short list, you can see that those are big organizations, that they've established this culture of pushing the boundaries for what great looks like. So I think this is a really exciting one, and one that, it's quite a shift. There's been no case films in this one. So
Yeah, I was jumping on them because yesterday were the shortlist, and I was like, yeah, okay. Oh no, there are no case films in there.
Yeah.
10 shortlists, but no case films.
Exactly.
Why?
So that's intentional, because what we don't want is, this isn't about the creative output. This isn't about that beautiful campaign. That can go elsewhere in the 30 Lions. This is really about, how did that great piece of work come to be? It didn't just come from, okay, let's do this on a Tuesday and it's live on a Friday. It took months, if not years, of building up that that internal capability of what good looks like, how to give a good brief, how to assess what great creativity, how to understand when you're inspired, or where to get that, understand when you're looking at great work, what are you assessing, what does that look like? That is a muscle that you have to build in an organization, and we want to recognize that. And that then is why within the entry itself, it really was setting aside. We didn't want the outputs to distract from the inputs. So it's very much a strategic paper. We're looking through it as, actually, how did you establish these things? How did it set out? So as a strategic paper, entrants had to put in the foundational questions as well. So what was the size of the business? What's the annual turnover? What's the employee rate? To put that, all of the impact in context, because it could be a massive impact on a small business, or it could be a small impact on a massive business. And actually that 1% in a multinational could be incredibly difficult to achieve, because you have to hit 10,000 people to make that change. So those foundational questions added context to the impact.
I could ask 100 questions more, but let's do it when we see which campaign was winning.
Yes.
I have another one. You made my personal work life so much better by inventing on Friday the Cannes Lions wrap up. But you have to tell me, how do you do that? What's the team behind it? And why are you doing it? Why are you wrapping up the week on Friday?
Well, wrapping up the week on Friday, it's Cannes Deconstructed. It is a 90-minute session on the Debussy stage, because, if you're like anything, I'm sure you're the same, every half hour you've got 3 things that you could be possibly going to, and you get to half of one and you go to half another, and you're running in between, right? But there's so much you want to see and so much you want to achieve. And I think the thing that we've noticed is that you can only watch so much things back, but you really want to understand your time on site at the festival. You want to make the most of that experience, that human to human piece, and actually the people you meet, so that when you go back to the office, you're like, here's all the things I've learned, and you brain dump essentially, right? But you still want to get the inspiration from the visionaries on the stages, or the juries and the insights that they're doing. So what we've done is we've captured, we'll have our editorial team from across Contagious and Work and Cannes Lions. They're gathering together what happened, kind of gave a summary of what happened. They're also going to have some of the jury members unpacking some of the winners and why they've won. And it's a 90-minute session, actually, just deep diving into that. So when you leave with here are the key things that we need to take away. It's kind of a version of the Lines Unwrapped that used to come out in mid-July. It's that sped up in a 90-minute session. So I think it will be something that is well worth attending. And definitely, I think that you'll see, again, also, you'll see people there that are doing the same thing. So you'll be able to bounce ideas off those as well. So it's a good opportunity to take the last gleans of inspiration and insight as you head back to your office.
Oh, I love it. I really love it. I look forward to go there. So you will see me definitely there. 2 last questions. One is, I know it will come up on Friday, but can you already reveal maybe 1 or 2 trends you're already seeing? You have been inside the jury rooms.
Yeah, I think, I definitely think that human-led craft is definitely coming through. Humor is still there, it's, consistently. And I think, again, you mentioned around the headwinds in the world, people respond to humor, and I think we're starting to see that. I think we're starting to see a lot of commercially led work really coming through. Some big brands winning for great work that is delivered, really big, very visible kind of brands. So that's exciting. And again, I think it's kind of going back to that point around, we want the work to be legitimate, genuine, real brands for real work, for real clients, because that then helps us all in the mission, right? And there's some interesting winners so far, but I don't want to spoil it for you.
Okay.
Night.
Then I give you an easy last question.
Oh, lovely.
Was there ever a moment at Cannes Lions that changed your own perspective on creativity permanently?
I've been coming to Cannes Lions since 2014, so I've been coming for a while. And I think my first time I was here, I was down on the harbour there, and it was one of the evenings, and it was just looking at the scale of what it is, and there was fireworks, and it was just that moment of, I want to work in this industry. It's just special. This is fun. This is interesting. The people we were speaking to were fabulous, and I was like, that's. For me, it's all about the people, and I think that piece of you're having these conversations that we have, all the time, and it's you leave with a notebook full of ideas, and we should definitely do these things, and and then sometimes being able to deliver on all of those things. Sometimes they get down to the list and we don't get a chance to make them, but they're always there where you come back and revert, and then we'll start them again. So I think that piece for me of recognizing the power of people, I think is for me.
I love it. Thank you for this tiny tradition we have on Sunday, and enjoy the week if you can.
Absolutely. Thank you. And so exactly. And good luck to all of the German winners. I can't wait to see.
Thank you so much.